Right, let's do it. Let's just talk about that game of football. Someone's got to do it. I guess I'm going to do it. That's like 94 minutes, really. Actually, probably about 110 minutes of my life given half-time as well. That I'm never going to get back. That wasn't really a good game of football. What game of football you say, as you've probably already forgotten about it, that was like... Yeah, that was just like, it was boring. It was boring. It was a genuinely boring game of football. It wasn't like, we weren't terrible. Like, I guess when you look at like the scale of bad performances, this wasn't like getting battered by Everton 4-0 bad or anything like that. It was just like a bit, just a really awkward night that at your mates that goes on too long that no one really wants. Everyone's bored and they're all kind of watching. They're going, oh God, I gotta get up because I've got stuff to do in the morning and it's 9:30 and people have only been there for like an hour and a half and it's that basically. But we're through. We're through, which is, I guess, all that matters. A little bit of perspective, I guess. In general, this game was probably never really going to matter. We were always going through. So this game already had the air of a kind of like a dead rubber about it anyway. We weren't like definitely through, but we all kind of knew we were going through, unless there was some kind of like cataclysmic, absolute fuck up of huge proportions. And that was never going to happen, really. That was never really going to happen. We all knew City were going to go through. So the players probably, in general, struggle to go for it a little bit. So you've got to bear that in mind. And also, we're probably just sick of the sight of Shakhtar, like, oh, it's you again. Yep, it's us again. They probably just couldn't be arsed with that in general. I'm not saying that's right. We're not in great form as well. Shakhtar as well aren't actually a bad team. People want to pretend they are, but they're not. They won 14 out of 15 in the league. They are kind of like Champions League fodder for most teams, but they're actually a pretty good side. They're okay, they're a good footballing side. They obviously know Manchester City really well, and they're probably bored of being embarrassed by us. So, I'm kind of happy for Shakhtar. Well done, Shakhtar, for not getting spanked by us for once. They're probably sick of the sight of us, and we're sick of the sight of them. And I'm happy for them. They've had a decent night at the Etihad for once. Well, I'm not really happy for them, you know what I mean? So basically, you have to bear in mind that the players probably weren't overly up for it. We're not in great form. The game would never really was going to matter. No one could really be asked for it. None of us could be asked for it, really. So everything was going to lead to that kind of game tonight, and it happened. And am I worried about it? Not really. I think it largely leads into my theory that in general this team is currently in transition. I'm not going to breathe too much into this game, but I still maintain when you look at the bigger picture so far this season, nights like this are going to be relatively common because we're not really at our free-flowing fluid best. So if we make a few changes, we're going to be a little bit sloppy than usual anyway. And tonight was a good example of that. I think last season when we were at our very most confident, or the season before that, we played this team at a level of a team this calibre anyway in terms of our lineup, and we probably stroll this 3-4-0. At the moment, we're not fluid, and we've got too many players who are going through the motions. So I just feel like this is where we're at the moment. I said on Twitter that first half felt like a team doing an impression of Manchester City. It wasn't Manchester City. It was like a team doing an impression of us that wasn't quite as good as us. And if you were like a team that wasn't that good and you did that impression, most people go, they're quite a nice side. They pass it around a bit. They're decent. No one would really be arsed by them because it's a bit beige. There's no real kind of cutting edge or anything like that. But people will go, they're okay, and then you forget about them. Kind of a bit like Wenger's Arsenal, I guess, a few years back before they went absolutely shite. In general, it was like an inoffensive, slow kind of neat and tidy team, but not actually that interesting. Now, we obviously are miles better than that. We are. But for whatever reason this season, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. Sometimes it can be excellent. I've just forgotten that so far this season, the West Ham game was in that. Do you remember how good we were against Spurs? I knew we drew to all, but that feels like a lifetime ago. We absolutely battered them. We were just all over them. That should have been about 7-0. And we've already done that this season as well. It's just... Well, at the moment, we're not quite right. And it's obviously due to injuries. It's obviously due to tiredness. It's obviously due to a little bit of fatigue. I still maintain that at this stage of the season, when he gets tired, you look to your senior players, you look to the experienced ones, especially the ones who are trying to bed into the team like Cancelo, even Angelino and Rodri. These players are trying to bed into this squad. I'm not really getting these inspirational performances from the likes of De Bruyne or even Aguero recently, or Bernardo, who's just not found his feet at all. And I maintain with Bernardo, it's not a position thing. He hasn't been good at all this season, where last season you could put him anywhere on the pitch and he'd be effective, and he played great midfield and out wide. He's just not right. And I don't think KDB's right. He wasn't bad, he was okay. I don't think that midfield works with Gundogan and Rodri. I miss Fernandinho midfield so much. I miss that bite, that leadership, that energy. At the moment, we haven't got anyone with that aggression and drive in the middle that really kicks the shit out of teams. He's doing that from deep, but he's not there in the centre, controlling the game, controlling the referee, controlling the atmosphere, controlling the mood, and we haven't got that. And when you consider that from a lot of the games last season, especially some important ones, we had Fernandinho doing that in the midfield, then we had Vincent Kompany behind doing that, and then you had someone like Aguero running, and then you had De Bruyne feeding off their energy. There's a lack of that. We haven't got that heart in the middle, and then we've got Fernandinho learning that role there. It's just a bit all over the place. And I think it's going to carry on being that way. I've accepted this now. I've made my peace of it. I don't think we're a bad side. We're obviously not a bad side. And I don't think Pep's going to go anywhere personally. I think he will stay. But I do think we're in something that's inevitably going to happen. I think players are a year older. And I think we're missing the leadership of Kompany and dressing room. I think some players have dropped out of form a little bit. And I think we're basically predictable. And that's one thing Guardiola's team... Well, Guardiola's sides are a little bit predictable, but they're so fast and so good that you can't usually do anything about it. And at the moment, that's where we're at. So, as it is, we just have to accept it, really. I think it wasn't diabolical, it was just boring. And I think every now and then there will be a boring game, especially when you're trying to find identity again. It can happen, especially when you've got a manager as demanding as Guardiola. I'm sure he probably will tell the players he's relatively happy with it, but inside be a little bit like, oh, shit. And I think he won't. I don't think it's even a lack of effort, weirdly. I don't think it is that. I think it's just too many pieces are not quite right for various reasons. Like, for example, we're missing Laporte. Laporte, I didn't even realise. I don't think any of us realised how critical he is to our play in general. The calmness there. Like, we're missing him, which therefore means we miss Fernandinho in midfield. We're also missing Kompany's leadership, as I mentioned earlier. We're missing Sané's pace as a counter-attacking option, even though he didn't always start games. Like, if he's there tonight, he's playing because Sterling's played so many games recently. Sterling doesn't look great either, but he's playing every single game, Sterling. And there's no... Essentially, I do believe we're so good because we've had that squad to rotate and keep players on their toes. And if you come in, you got to do good. And at the moment you come in, you're just staying there because Sterling's staying there because there's no one else to play there, which leads us to the situation where you've got repetition. And I think it becomes routine. And when things become routine, you lose focus a little bit because you get so used to it. You turn up, you do your job, and they've won so much recently. And I think that's what's happening now. I do believe that, and I think Guardiola believes this as well, that in general, you have to kind of make changes when you're on top in football and freshen up your squad constantly, keep evolving, because players unintentionally, and I don't think they mean to do it, because I think the model pros get stagnant, and I think that's what might be happening here. The game itself, as I said, it was forgettable. I thought there was a few little signs where there was some weird moments where Angelino got a lot of stick on the commentary. I was watching because I watched it, and Manor was giving him a hard time, and weirdly, I struggled to criticise players for obvious tactical decisions, and it was obvious that Angelino has been told to play narrow because he kept doing that all game constantly, and he was doing it against Liverpool as well. It's really obvious that's his instruction, because otherwise Guardiola would be going, get out, and he'd do these crazy little hand gestures and all that kind of stuff, but he wasn't doing that, which suggests to me that that's what he wanted him to do. So bearing that in mind, I can't criticise him for doing exactly what the manager tells him to do. Having said that, I do think that there was no support for him at times. Their equalising goal, Gundogan basically just jogged over and left kind of like Angelino with 2-1. By the time Gundogan had come over, the runner was already gone. Angelino couldn't get near him. Now, obviously, they kept playing it over the channels, and Tete is really, really fast. He just kept running into the corner. He got the ball, but he didn't really do anything about it. And if he did, it was normally because people hadn't got back and tracked back to cover and help defensively. So I'm not going to blame him for that. I thought Angelino put in a couple of nice crosses as well. I was a little bit disappointed by Cancelo going forward. I thought he was a little bit sloppy. I thought the team in general was a little bit sloppy. Gundogan and Rodri in midfield is one pace. It just is one pace. De Bruyne just kept... He's not quite right. It's okay. He wasn't terrible. A lot of crosses. And a lack of ingenuity, which is one thing you don't usually put at De Bruyne. Bernardo was just Bernardo of this season. Kind of toiled and didn't really do much, unfortunately. Sterling, exactly the same. He's in a worrying kind of patch of form at the moment, Sterling. He isn't in great form, He's had a good start to the season, but he's not in great form. And Gabriel Jesus had little for service, a very, very one-pace Manchester City. And yeah, it wasn't really his night either. It was weird at one point to see David Silva get substituted on the 70th minute. That felt like a piss take. Like, really? Did David Silva need to come on? Does he need the minutes, really? Phil Foden was on the bench, and that was a big kind of groaning moment, especially as they equalised just as that happened. Felt strange, that. Felt very strange. Foden did get on. Didn't really have much to do. He kind of one nice pass, which led to a header, and whatever. Kind of our goal was okay. Some nice actually play from Gabriel Jesus, to be fair to him, and Gundogan. Overall, it was just like an unforgettable night of football. We are through though. That's all that matters, I guess. Now we are top of the group. I think we are top of the group. Yeah, I'm pretty certain we are, and. We can rest the players for the next game, but this group stage is going forever. It's hard to read into nights like this. For now, though, these are just some whimsical thoughts. I didn't bother with putting the graphics at the bottom because it's not the kind of game to even warrant that, really. Guys, let me know what you thought of that. I don't think it was abysmal. I do think it was forgettable. I do think it was average, and I do think this is going to be a story of the season for a lot of games. We'll obviously be better at times, and we have been better this season. As I said, the Spurs game, the West Ham game, feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? But it was this season. It was only a couple of months ago. 2 or 3 months ago, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. Hopefully we'll get our mojo back. As it is, I think this season with the injuries and the transition, the new signing settling, is going to be one step too far for us. That's my humble opinion. That's not an overreaction. That's just my genuine assessment of the season. Based off what I've seen so far, I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, and I do trust in this team, but I don't think I'm trying to do a disservice there to say that. I do believe in them, I do trust them. I just think it might be a task too far. There's no shame in that because we've been fantastic. I'm definitely not throwing the towel though, and I would not be surprised at all if we somehow make it to the final, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Just the 90 minutes of uninspiring nothingness. I forgot about it already. In a bit. Subscribe, comment, like.